Hello, and welcome to Wallacast, a podcast where we talk about English-dubbed anime and the voice actors who work on them. I'm Lauren Salter.
I'm Matt Walker, and today we're joined by special guest, Graham Thompson.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's up, Graham?
What's up, Graham? Why don't you tell the folks who you are and, how we know each other?
Boy, well, if anyone here is a part of Unlocked or, watches Unlocked stuff, you've probably heard my annoying voice, or at least seen me before. I'm a part of Unlocked. I do the book club here, and I love Unlocked. I love everything about this. The website, the app. I love getting involved with these different projects and stuff, and I am very happy to be on you guys' show today.
Well, we're happy to have you.
What she said. Yeah, Graham, I originally sort of quote-unquote met Graham, this is all online of course, where he basically just messaged me going, hey, I've got an idea for Unlocked, what do you think? And I said, that actually sounds pretty cool. And so we passed it on to the admins, and the rest is history.
Yep, but aside from that though, I remember early days of Unlocked, geez, it's almost a year old.
Yeah.
But various conversations or comments and stuff, and I remember seeing Matt Walker being like, this character from this show is great. I'm like, oh, I think that character from that show is also great. Interesting.
This is how online romances start.
Well, in the same way for you, Lauren, like early on, both of your names were recurring names I saw in Unlocked a lot. I mean, given you guys were moderators, but after being on the page enough and seeing names pop up, I don't know, fairly often, you guys became recurring, I don't know, like faces. That's wrong to say, but
Are we recurring characters
online.
in your
we're
I was trying not to say characters, but
I think that I like that better actually.
Okay.
I do remember
be a
seeing
character in a story.
A lot of your early posts, Graham, and I would do the same thing with you, or after Matt has commented and then you did, I was like, oh yeah, I agree too.
Me too, dang it.
But anyway, thank you for joining us today.
Today, in honor of the upcoming theatrical release of the dub for Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, our episode is going to be on Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, the second route of the adaptations of the Fate Stay Night visual novel, and all the complexities that go with it.
Huzzah!
So we kind of got Graham into the whole Fate franchise.
Yes, you did. And my journey, my journey along the Fate, just kind of stories and stuff, I think is kind of an odd one, because you guys got me on Fate Zero first, and then I watched...
Which is the correct way, dang it. Fight me.
But then I watched Unlimited Blade Works second, and then I actually recently played through the visual novel for Stay Night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See, I still have not done that, so I will be curious to hear your insights on that.
It's very interesting, because it's different than the show. There's some key differences.
Yeah, I know for one thing, it's officially like a 18+ game.
Yeah, and those scenes exist and stuff. But those aside, playing through Stay Night, it was a lot of being like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that explains that character. And because I guess jumping right into it, the biggest thing, watching through Unlimited Blade Works, seeing Shiro get the crap beat out of him time and time again, and then him quickly recovering, and that just kind of being his quirk, his style, his whatever, an aspect of his character. I feel like it was never entirely fleshed out in Unlimited Blade Works, but they go into so much detail with that in Stay Night. And
they don't explain why he can heal himself really easily, and it's sort of alluded to, especially if you pay really close attention to what happens in Fate Zero.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they don't really explain why mortal wounds seem to be able to be healed by him just sort of hanging around with no outside help.
Mm-hmm.
With the one exception of Lancer's blow. Spoiler alert. Sorry, we're not there yet.
Oh, I guess we didn't even do our spoiler disclaimer.
Yeah.
From this point forward, there will be spoilers.
Yeah, let's just go from this point forward.
Yeah.
And I will say this right now, I am not going to be able to avoid some spoilers for Fate Zero as well.
Yeah.
So if you have not seen that, there'll probably be spoilers for that too. You should watch that first, though.
Yeah, they're pretty well tied together. I watched both of them back to back, so for me, Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night kind of are the same, one and the same. Although I have more to say on what I felt about EB Dub this time, so we'll get into that.
Do we want to give a as brief as possible explanation of how these adaptations are? Because they're a little different than your normal anime. The different Fate Stay Night, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel.
Sounds like you're about to.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel
go
like
to it.
we owe people who may have not seen it yet. Technically, we still haven't gone crazy, so there's still time to back out
Go for it.
and go see it. Okay, I'm going to try to spark notes this as close as possible. As Graham mentioned, Fate Stay Night is a visual novel. As with most visual novels, if you're not familiar with them, they tend to have different routes where if you play through once, you get a certain amount of story, and they talk, and there's certain events happen in certain ways based on sort of your decisions as you go, and then you can play through other routes that sometimes have vastly, like really big changes on how the story plays out. In Fate, there are 3 major ones. There's the Fate route, which focuses on Saber and her relation with Shiro, and they are the romantic couple. Unlimited Blade Works focuses on Reen. Reen and Shiro, they are the couple, and then sort of his relation to Archer and Archer's backstory. And then Heaven's Feel, which is like the third darker one, focuses on Sakura as the main female character, and is probably the most different of the 3. I don't actually know all the details because I don't want to get spoiled. Anyway, so that's so we're talking about the Unlimited Blade Works, which is the second route. It might seem sort of out of order. The original old anime, the Studio Dean one, sort of adapted the Fate route, though they actually incorporated stuff from all 3, and it's not great, especially by comparison. But if you really want to go all super fan on the Fate universe and see all the adaptations, there's that one. They also did a movie version of Unlimited Blade Works, which is very, very rushed, but actually has some good points, and I actually watched that again just for funsies. And so I might talk a little bit about the differences there, and some of the things I actually think the movie did well. A lot of that has to do with sort of pacing and things like that. Anyway, so that's SparkNotes version.
So we are talking about the UFO table adaptation of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works.
And they also did Fate Zero.
Yeah.
So they're sort of the hallmark of the Fate series. Studio Dean is sort of forgotten because of not being nearly as good in almost every way. Sorry, Studio Dean. If anyone's seen the meme of Shiro saying people die when they're killed, that one is from the Studio Dean adaptation.
You might be correct. You might be right, but you're not correct.
Yeah, this is now a running joke with this series.
When people die, they are dead.
Or archers really are archers, or whatever Reen's line is.
The archer class really do use bows or something like that.
So this has become a running joke in the series. Okay. Anyway, I know that was long. Maybe try to edit that down later.
It's kind of necessary to understand Unlimited Blade Works because there's some very important characters, such as like Kirei, for example. He plays a huge role in Stay Night. He's a very important character. And in Unlimited Blade Works, he kind of takes a back seat and has a very, I think, lackluster death.
Yeah, very much so. He is sort of a forgotten, for especially being so integral in Fate Zero.
Yeah.
As sort of the main villain in that show, he is sort of just sidelined for this one. Yeah. Which, again, this is kind of it's the good part about visual novels, and it's the bad part of adaptations from them, is because in the visual novel you're expected to play back through and then get the rest of the story and the details with the other routes. But of course here, at least right now, we only have the one, so you don't have all that. So certain things are going to feel probably a little rushed and a little forgotten and a little like, wait, but he's important. Like, well, not for this one as much.
I do remember watching Unlimited Blade Works, and when Kotomine dies, I was like, oh, that's it? Is he actually dead?
Yeah. Because Lancer has like 4 lives or 3 lives or something like that. Like,
yeah, he does have an uncanny ability to resurrect himself this time. It's like, okay, you should be dead, but you're not because we need you for the
continuation.
Plot. I don't know. It just, for me, it seems a little bit too, convenient. But I do like this Lancer a lot. I like how snarky Lancer was in this.
Oh yeah, sorry Fate Zero Lancer, but I way prefer this Lancer. He's way more interesting, and the whole I'm the noble warrior to me gets a little tired after a little bit. It's like, all right, dude, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, Tony Oliver's Lancer, Tony Oliver, who's the ADR director and the voice of Lancer, I think does a really good job. He's also the original Lancer in the older adaptation. A lot of the cast actually is the same role, though some of them actually like switched roles. Like David Vincent is Assassin in the old one, not Gilgamesh.
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
It is. I think he does Gilgamesh so much better.
Oh, entirely. Yeah. I love David Vincent as Gilgamesh. Oh my god.
Yeah, that is by far my favorite role of his, and a lot of it is that he's got this cadence to him that is really it's unique to the character. It
Mhm.
fits his sort of arrogance, but almost deserved arrogance,
Mhm.
and his just all-encompassing belief that he is truly the true ruler of everything. And of course, how could anyone think otherwise? Like, it's just not a concept he can entertain that he isn't the best of the best.
I have to say, I liked Gilgamesh better. Well, I don't like Gilgamesh. I enjoyed his character more in Fate Zero than this. I feel like the UBW Gilgamesh is a little bit just blah in comparison as far as character growth and not really development, but as far as what we saw from Gilgamesh, I feel like Unlimited Blade Works for me was just like, okay, you're not particularly interesting.
Yeah,
Well, because at least in Fate Zero, you kind of see him, like, plotting. You see him working behind the scenes, working on Kira and being like, are you really this noble, good person? Why don't you be evil? Be evil, yeah. And that, his little interactions with Kira in Fate Zero are great.
Mhm.
He just doesn't have that in this, so...
Yeah, and I think, again, this is sort of where the folly of the visual novel adaptation, because, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, Graham, he is sort of the main all-encompassing villain of the first route, the Fate route, versus the main antagonist. I don't really call him a villain, but he is the main antagonist, is Archer in UBW. And then eventually we conclude that, but then we have sort of the rest of it, which is a similar ending to the other route. So this wouldn't seem so like, oh right, you're here still, and we have to have you be the actual villain, because it would just sort of play out like, oh, we're back to the stuff you kind of already know. The sort of whole ending after Archer's stuff is wrapped up is kind of, oh right, we need an actual villain and main boss to defeat, and I guess Gilgamesh is the guy that's left, and I guess he now just wants to kill most of the population with the Holy Grail, so okay, we gotta go fight him, let's go.
It is kind of unfortunate that, like, there are multiple bad guys or villains or mini arcs within Unlimited Blade Works. There's the whole thing with Caster. There's like there are multiple kind of mini bosses before Gilgamesh, who's like kind of the big boss, I guess.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's what we're supposed to think.
Yeah. And like, at least in, I don't know why I keep on going back to Fate Zero, but at least in Fate Zero, you kind of see every character progress along the way, where I feel like in Unlimited Blade Works is very much, we are focusing on Caster, we are focusing on Archer, we are focusing on Gilgamesh. And that's kind of just the progression of the show.
Not quite as seamless.
Yeah, I think, Fate Zero has always been the more mature story. Part of that is it benefits from being a light novel adaptation that is a full fleshed out story that has a beginning, a middle, an end. That's one big arc that's planned out, versus, again, doing a visual novel. This is always sort of the case of those adaptations, is you have these sort of mini arcs and mini sagas that all kind of, they're trying to pull them all in to get as much out of the source as possible, and you end up sort of having to sacrifice pacing and sort of good arc structure because of that.
It's also a fact that, like, in the Fate Stay Night visual novels, Shiro is the main character. The entire story is told through his perspective, which unfortunately, in the visual novels, half of the dialogue, half of the story is Shiro monologuing, or him thinking, like, thinking out loud.
Boy.
And you kind of see he's a much more colorful or better developed character, I guess, in the visual novel, because we have literally just hours of him commenting on what's going on around him, what's happening, all this stuff. But it's also, like, they wouldn't just be like, or at least in the visual novels, Shiro defeats, or at least faces, every servant that's a part of this Holy Grail War. Fate Zero is just, it's a true battle royale. There are different servants going against each other at different times. You can see different people's perspectives.
You've got the groups that, like, oh, like, well, impromptu alliance because we got to deal with Berserker going crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In general, I feel like we're ragging on this. I really like this show still. I do think, I actually have a note here that says, like, the more I watch UBW, the bigger the quality gap in my brain is growing from Fate Zero. Sorry, UBW.
I'm glad you brought that up, though. That was what I was alluding to. I mentioned it this morning to you, but I didn't want to talk about it. I actually downgraded UBW on my MAL because it's, especially this time around when I was going through, I didn't watch the whole thing. And when I was looking to pick episodes to focus on, it honestly was like, okay, I don't want to sit through that because Shiro's monologuing. I don't want to sit through that because Archer's monologuing. So for me, the more that I watch UBW, the less I like it compared to Fate Zero.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way. Again, this is relative. I still do enjoy the show a lot.
Yeah, there are definite
because there's plenty
moments.
of really good things to it.
The fight scenes are still quite excellent.
Yes.
Oh, they're awesome.
Definitely.
And yeah, the animation is even better than Fate Zero. It's hard to argue against that.
So at least this is my first time watching Unlimited Blade Works after reading Stay Night. And like we said at the beginning where Stay Night is very much focused on Saber, where Unlimited Blade Works is very much focused on Reen. One of the biggest points of Unlimited Blade Works is this kind of moral showdown between I'm gonna call him Emiya and then Shiro or Archer, where he's like, "Don't you see that I am you? I am what becomes of you after years of like making terrible decisions and like having to bear all these decisions, these lives that I've killed, all these like like these mistakes." And he's like, "Can't you see, like, if I could just go back and erase it all, I would be a happier person, the world would be a better place." And Shiro's like, "No, this is dumb. No, I believe in my convictions. I'm going forward." And Saber's watching all this going, "Oh, this is me. This is literally both sides of me arguing. I wonder who's gonna win."
That's interesting. I never actually thought of that as it being kind of what Saber is thinking personified. I never thought of that.
Yeah, neither did I, though when you say it, it seems obvious.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that she essentially chooses Archer's side. She basically says, "No, I'm content. I'm not going to seek this anymore," which is nice to see Saber develop.
Yeah, it's a big character for her from Fate Zero.
And it's not, I feel like it's not given the weight it probably deserves, but I guess Saber has her route, so that's part of that.
Wait. I think she picks Shiro's side. Because she decides, like, her whole pursuing the Grail is that she can wish that she never became king. She wants to erase everything that she did because she believes that she sent Britain down the path of destruction and stuff.
Yeah, but doesn't she, like, comment to Reen that she's no longer going to pursue that path?
Yep.
Yeah, she doesn't want to erase. She's learning to accept who she is and who she becomes.
Yeah, so that's Archer's sub-point.
Shiro is so gung-ho about being...
Yeah, Shiro is committed to maintaining his wish even though he knows it's wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, boy,
where Archer wants to erase it.
Oh, okay, well, I guess I'm...
That's at least that's the perceptive, like, I don't know, the side that I see.
I guess it depends on how you interpret it. I feel like, while I know Archer wants to erase something, but I feel like the point is he knows that his decisions were wrong to want to pursue that line of action versus, and so Saber learns that indeed she is wrong to try to pursue that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you can kind of, it's a little bit of both, isn't it?
Because, I don't know, I like the idea at the very end, Shiro kind of, he keeps on going down the same path he's going down. He's like, I'm still going to become this hero of justice. I still want to make a better world, but I understand that I can't fall down the same path that he fell down. And that's partially what Reen is there for, to keep him straight, to keep him, like...
But doesn't the very end sort of imply he does fall down that exact same path? Like the after credit scene at the very, very end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of a really unsatisfying ending. Like, really, man, you learned nothing after all of this.
I think that's the biggest issue that I have with UBW now, is that Shiro is just, for me, the monologuing that he has for one, but he just doesn't ever change his mind.
Yeah, it's like a character that's having growth shoved down his throat and just like, nope, not gonna, damn it. I'm a Toys R Us kid and I'm not growing up. Yeah.
It's so dissatisfying that Shiro is I mean, this is supposed to be Reen's route, but Shiro takes such a front seat that it's just like, okay, dude, I don't care. If you're not going to change your mind, give me somebody who actually is developing like Reen. Because Reen goes through tremendous amounts of growth in this, and I think that's something worth noting.
Reen's the best, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Reen starts out in a way that even when I watched the first episode, I know what growth she goes through, and I was like, wow, you were really annoying in this first episode.
You're my goddamn servant. That's one of my favorite lines.
Melanie did so well with Reen, and really, for me, she is Reen. This is just, it's just so perfect for that.
She was the original Reen as well,
which is awesome.
Or Rin, I guess I should say, because that's how they pronounce it in the older one.
So I would have much rather had more Reen, less Shiro.
That's fair.
Yeah, this this is often the case of the sort of relatively generic male protagonist. That's it's hard to like them as much as I feel like the show wants you to like them or relate to them.
I guess part of what I kind of like about Shiro's character is how much he idolizes and worships Kiritsugu, who again is someone that met a bad fate. He stuck to his morals, he never deviated, and his life was pretty miserable.
He never deviated until he destroyed the grail.
Yeah, he well, yeah, after learning its true nature.
Yeah.
You wonder how much he knows about his foster dad, and if he knew his whole past, would he idolize him as much, and would he end up down this path?
Which I think Saber was trying to tell him subtly without, giving anything away.
That's another thing. How much does Saber remember?
That's fair. Well,
like, it's not clear, I feel like.
Gilgamesh remembers everything because
Gilgamesh never went away.
Disappeared. Yeah.
But I get the sense that Saber doesn't necessarily remember the specific events of the past. I feel like if she does, then it introduces like the biggest plot hole ever. So she can't remember it, but it's not really clear. You definitely get like, oh, I feel like I've been at this time before. But other than that, I don't know. That's just a point I would have liked cleared up.
I have a point over here. Caster. I mentioned her earlier. In Fate Stay Night, she's a fairly just like, I'm a bad guy, I'm gonna do bad things, and then she gets defeated by Gilgamesh, and that's it. In Unlimited Blade Works, I like that we can sympathize with her. We learn that she's Medea. We learn about like that she was the witch queen that got screwed over by Jason, and all of these kind of this
and then
who this person is in
her
history.
Original master.
Yeah. Yep.
I did not.
And then
I felt like I did not sympathize with her whatsoever. Again, I think that is because we weren't given enough time to sympathize with her. We really kind of only had her final scene as, oh, this is my story. This is why you should sympathize. And I didn't. I love Castor as a villain. She was great.
Yeah, that's sort of a trope that anime tends to do. Like, when a villain's about to be defeated, it gives you this big flashback of why they're actually a sympathetic character, and you should actually be sad that they're dying. It's like, but, like, no. You can't just throw that at me and expect me to really be all that sympathetic to this person.
So, I'm 100% biased, because I love Greek mythology. I love that this series pulls plenty from various sorts of mythology. I mean, Cthulhu's from Celtic mythology.
Both Lancers are Celtic.
Yep, and we see Medea and Heracles are pulled from Greek mythology. And so, like, when there's that whole reveal that, like, yeah, she is Medea, I'm like, oh no, honey, I feel so bad for you. You don't deserve what happened to you in real life, and I know why you're twisted. Oh.
I mean, she also murders her kids, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not exactly completely innocent.
I think probably this doesn't even...
Spoiler alert for Greek mythology,
yeah. This doesn't even
if you really wanted to...
I feel like the only sympathetic character of the servants was in Fate Zero, so I'm trying to think of even Fate.
I would say Lancer's sympathetic in Fate Stay Night. Like,
that's true.
He's not a bad guy. In general, he's a good guy. He's forced to do some things that are disagreeable, but that's his master's command, not necessarily him.
Yep, that's fair.
I'm trying to think of the other ones. Assassin's kind of lame, because, like, he's just kind of the protector of the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a fake, he's not a proper servant. So, and I will say...
I will defend the high ground.
Yeah. I really do love Todd Haberkorn's performance, though, as Lancer. It's legit one of my favorite roles for him. He just nails that sort of sad, noble warrior that knows nothing but this life and is accepted it, but...
He has a really good line in his first battle with Saber, when just about before he uses his noble phantasm. And he goes from that sad type that you were just talking about to instantly like, I'm gonna murder you.
Yeah.
And that switch was just like, oh, okay, you mean business.
You know, his character didn't give much to do, but with what little he had, I actually really liked Assassin.
I really like the nobility matchups. I really liked Lancer from Fate Zero and Saber, and I really like Assassin and Saber. This has a lot less I'm noble. No, I'm noble. Okay,
Yeah,
let's be
I
noble
like this
together.
matchup a lot better than Fate Zero Lancer
I
and
feel
Saber.
like this was more about mutual respect than kind of a sexual tension in Fate Zero. Assassin and Saber in this have very much a, you deserve my time, I'll be back, don't worry. And I like that kind of, I like the nobility of the...
I kind of like that he admitted he was kind of sexist at the end. Yeah. Like, I thought her just a little bird when she was really a lion. Yeah. Like, I f***ed up. I underestimated that a lot. Like,
nice to see that.
That was dumb.
Oh, see, I took that, I can definitely see that interpretation. I took that as the literal, like, lion, British, got it.
I think there's that connection, too.
Speaking of getting owned, one other thing I have written down here is the final fight between Shiro and Gilgamesh. I love there's a subtle little, like, when Shiro's, like, whatever, diving towards Gilgamesh or whatever, he reaches for Aya, and you see there's a moment of hesitation where he's like, I don't want to grab it, I need it, and as soon as he grabs it, he gets his arm cut off. I love that little hesitation.
I like that, and it's a good way that they worked how Shiro could possibly defeat him, because only because of his arrogance, because if he had whipped that out right at the beginning, he would have been creamed.
Yeah.
Because you get, Aya, if anyone doesn't know the backstory, is like the most powerful single weapon in this lore. It's the anti-universe noble phantasm. So it's basically like, oh, I want you destroyed, you're destroyed, and it doesn't matter what you do. But so his arrogance in thinking that Shiro is just some copycat and I don't need to waste my real weapon on you is what ultimately does him in, of course. Can we talk about Gilgamesh's lore a bit and how, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense? Like how
the King of Heroes?
Not the King of Heroes, not like Gilgamesh. When they always describe like, oh, he has the originals of all noble phantasms. Like, how? Like a bunch came after him. What do you mean he has the original? He doesn't have Excalibur. That was made way after he died. It's like, so he just inherits a copy of it? What's the original then?
A copy, yeah.
Like, what do you mean, like the original? And ultimately, it's like, oh, these are all noble phantasms. Like, no, they're not. They're just weapons you're throwing at someone. Like, they're clearly... I mean, you can tell me that they're noble phantasms, but they have no actual power. I can see that.
His noble phantasm is Aya.
The only ones that have any power are the Chains of Heaven and Aya.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they do, but he doesn't use them, and I guess they kind of allude to that. It's like, oh, if you had... Shiro mentions, like, if you had chosen to master even one, you could beat me. But because you didn't, all you're doing is, like, literally just throwing them at people.
I think I definitely agree with that. That's kind of a weird kind of quirk, or his weird kind of shtick. But I think if I had to try to explain it, my guess would be that he was a hoarder. He hoarded all of the, like, the precious metals, the very nice looking swords or whatever. And, like, if he came first, hypothetically, when his reign fell and stuff, and all his treasures got dispersed and stuff, whatever swords ended up in, like, scattered around the world, if they got melted down and reforged, well, who was the original owner? Now, of course, that definitely doesn't apply for, like, if Excalibur was forged by iron that was mined in Britain.
Yeah, exactly.
Then...
It's like Assyria wasn't that big, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like...
Then that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'll buy that as a really big stretch, I guess.
And it is.
But it's just one of those,
that's my spitball.
Like, why does this have to be that way? Like, I don't really understand why we have to have this, like, I have the originals and everything. It's like...
Yeah, they're trying to power him up more.
All you had to say is, like, all of those are noble phantasm class weapons. I could be okay with that. But, like, the originals... No, shut up. No, you don't. You don't have Lancer's Spear. You don't have Excalibur.
He's, like, the first heroic spirit, I guess. Or he's, like, the oldest one, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the first. Or at least, the oldest. Again, time doesn't really exist here, so it's sort of a moot point.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he makes a good bad guy. And the whole arrogant king thing he's got going on.
His character is great, and the idea of this, like, unlimited armory is a great idea for a ability.
Especially because he's an archer.
Yeah. Though, again, it doesn't seem like he possesses a bow in any of those, but whatever. They're projectiles, so it's fine.
He fires swords. Yeah.
Yep.
All
swords
right.
and spears and other such things.
So, what were your favorite moments of the show? Both of you.
Matt, do you want to start?
You go ahead.
Okay. Well, so, like, I love the moral kind of, like, the dialogue that goes on between Shiro and Archer. The whole, like, I'm right. No, I'm headstrong. No, dude, I'm actually right. Look to reason. No, I'm headstrong. And then at the very end, I think that Archer realizes, I am headstrong. That is me. I just gave up. I backed down at some point in my life. And that's uncharacteristic of me. That's something that he isn't doing, and that's something I shouldn't do. So I kind of like that. I mean, yeah, Shiro doesn't progress. Shiro doesn't develop as a character. But I part of me likes that then Archer at the very end is like, maybe I somehow lost my way.
At least Archer had a little bit of a change of heart at the very end. And I love the little touch where he looks more like Shiro.
And the little smile where he says bye to Rain.
Yeah. That's actually a really good little scene.
Yeah.
I will say that moment's not my favorite, or those moments. Mainly because it just goes on way too freaking long.
Agreed.
This is actually one of
That's
the
fair.
things I think the movie has better, is because it doesn't have the time. This argument doesn't drag on for like 4 or 5 episodes, and then we just like get 3 or 4 fights where we have the same sort of discussion every time. That starts to feel a little bit like a broken record. If they could have just sort of squished that down a little bit, I think that would have been better for me. I think if I had to pick one favorite moment, it is when we get the surprise summoning invocation from Reen, where she asks Saber to be her servant. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's like the hand clap, like, oh my god!
I watched that episode when my sister was in town, and I'm pretty sure it's because of that casually a couple days later she said, so, how do I watch Fate Zero? Is it on Netflix? And I was like, yes. I would say I agree. I think the summoning of Saber to Reen was just, overall, visually and music and all of that was such a great moment, because we were rooting for that in the beginning, because we see how powerful Saber is with Reen. Like, couldn't you have started it that way?
Also, speaking of the movie, there's a little moment that I kind of wished they had incorporated this, and when Saber becomes Reen's servant in the movie, it doesn't just look like her powers are restored. It makes it look like she actually got quite a big power boost.
Yep.
Like there's a huge like electric aura around her, and she suddenly looks like this mega badass. It's like, oh snap, this is what happens when you get a real master.
And I did,
which didn't really come off as well in the series. It just looks like, oh right, she's back to normal power. Cool, which is good. But I don't know, I like that idea that you got the sense that because Reen is the superior mage, that now Saber is even more powerful than she was before.
I did read that in the visual novel, I think, or in some, it could have been the movie that is supposed to happen, is Saber is supposed to look like she's had a major power up.
Yeah. I love that one. I love Reen's fight with Castor.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
I love that she gets in close and just like lays the smackdown on her, and Castor's like, what? You're fighting with your fists? It's like, oh yeah, by the way, modern mages are a little different. We don't just need magic.
I think besides the summoning, I think probably my second favorite moment would be, I always like a good entrance, and I think Saber's entrance into the whole show is a pretty good one too, where she really does just appear out of the blue. I don't really understand how the summoning works with when Shiro doesn't say anything, but I love that she just comes smashing through and just destroys Lancer in one hit, and it's like, oh hi, I'm here, I'll fight for you, and then just takes off. It's just a good, that whole ending of that scene with Shiro on the ground and Saber standing over him with the lighting, it's just like, oh yes!
I always assume that it's because, unlike every other master, he has the relic inside him that connects him to the servant.
True.
So there's some sort of like way that he can sort of internally call her without actually saying the invocation. I assume that's got to be the explanation.
There's also that summoning circle that
That's true. The summoning circle is there. Yeah.
Also, it's funny. You mentioned the scene where Shiro's on the ground, kind of looking up at Saber, and like she's just standing there like triumphantly. That's the first image of the visual novel.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
And it's very impactful, and it establishes the mood for the entire series.
One thing I really liked, it's not really a moment, but I like how we get the first episode, which is like a double episode, and you go through these events, and then we go back and do it again through Shiro's perspective, essentially. Yeah. And we get this kind of dual perspective on the first major events of the summonings and Saber's confrontation with Archer and Lancer and whatnot.
God, I am a broken record because that is how the the visual novel starts out as well. The first chapter is told
smart,
by Reen.
Smart to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of kind of a fun thing,
Yep.
poor Reen. You know, she's the only one to ever say the full "I am the bone of my sword" enchantment.
Oh, really?
Yep. She gives it in like a dream sequence. She actually says the whole thing, but no other character does. They skip lines, or they basically they usually skip around and only say like, I think at most Shiro has his weird little version of it, but even that's a little bit shorter than like the full one that Archer has.
Oh.
I'd rather hear Reen say it anyway.
I was like, that was I like that. I thought that was an interesting touch.
I also kind of like that in this one, Reen is extremely like aggressive towards Shiro at the beginning. She is very like it's more so than in the other series. She's like, you are weak. I like if you don't, the next time I see you, I will kill you. I hope you realize that.
I don't ship them at all. I never saw that relationship happening. Maybe it's different in the visual novel if I had control over it. But I think Reen is just way too independent and proud for that, which I like. I like that idea.
It does seem like that's a weird match given her personality.
Yeah.
Not that there's anyone really better as far as humans are concerned in this show, but considering how much of a garbage pile Shinji is.
Oh, good. Let's talk about Shinji, shall we?
Oh, dear.
One of my most hated characters ever.
Yep, mine too.
Understandably.
I hate that guy. And props to Kyle McCarley, but oh my god, I want to like strangle him at every instance.
It is.
And he really delivers that, not the cool arrogance of Gilgamesh, but the just
oily.
That oily
arrogance instead of like a cocky. I don't know. He's just slimy, really.
Like I equate it to like the the meme with the like the weeaboo guy with like he's kind of overweight and he's got the neck beard and the fedora. That's the kind of like confidence that Shinji has. Is like, oh god, it's just it's so cringy and it's just like stop, just go away.
Yeah, props to Kyle McCarley. I did not like any time Shiro was on the screen. It was he's just cringeworthy.
You're not supposed to, because he's a total coward and a horrible person, and he basically tries to rape Reen.
And then there's the scene immediately after that.
Speaking of favorite
where
moments,
Lancer like barely sticks his lance into his chest,
and he comes out,
and then he just goes screaming.
Yeah. No, I think speaking of favorite moments, I think one of my favorites was Lancer's. Oh, I meant to say stop, but I punched you instead. Like, oh my god, that was so needed. I almost openly cheered at that moment.
I'll be very interested, because again, I don't know what happens in Heaven's Field, but I'll be very interested to see what Sakura and Shinji's relationship is like in that show, and what happens to him in the event that Sakura is a master, which spoilers by the way.
Yeah, we pretty much know she is. So.
I'm about to say.
And
the thing is, after watching Fate Zero, you guys we already know that Sakura and Reen are sisters.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a big what moment in Heaven's Field.
Oh, okay. So we'll go into Heaven's Field pretending like we don't know that.
All right.
Basically.
Okay, got it.
Because there's a lot of well, it is. Unfortunately, if you've seen
That's the
Zero, you know that.
I understand that basically, no matter which one you watch first, you spoil the other one, at least in some measure or other. I feel like I'm still going to stand by Zero first, but I can see,
Because Stay Night is a pretty good introduction to the series, in terms of establishing who Saber is, what these masters are, what this Holy Grail War is. You're right, it does kind of spoil the ending of Fate Zero.
I feel like
Fate Zero has a lot going for it, aside from the ending.
But I feel like Fate Zero gives you a better narrative context of what's going on in Fate Stay Night. It makes me care more of what's happening, and part of me kind of likes what I know. I like that I know that the Holy Grail is actually evil, and these guys don't know it yet, but we know it, and it's oh man, how's that gonna play out? If only you knew, man. If only you knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, to each their own. There's definitely arguments of doing it the opposite way, especially if you're going to actually do the visual novel, which I feel like that one obviously will give you a much more fleshed out. I think just doing, say, UBW first, I would feel like I was a little confused and sort of contextless.
Yeah.
And
I think it's better, looking back, I think it is better to watch Stay Night before Unlimited Blade Works, because that was the author's intended order, and I definitely, I think Unlimited Blade Works is better than Stay Night. But I feel because throughout all of Stay Night, Archer is just kind of this, like, who is this guy? Like, there's no easy person to pinpoint, like, throughout history who he was. You don't know his true name. He's just kind of left as this mystery. And then in Unlimited Blade Works, like, what? He's Shiro?
Speaking of another thing I love that they did is when you go back, you see how many hints they drop that Archer is indeed Shiro. And I'll admit, most of those were lost on me when I didn't know this fact.
Yep.
But going back, it's like, oh my god, like that's a hint, and that's a hint. Like, oh, this is actually, that's genius.
When I first watched it, I remember Matt asking, oh, so do you know who Archer is yet? And I kept saying no with the suspicion that I should know. And I am so clueless about that kind of thing. So it really, for me, wasn't until the episode with the transfer of Saber into Reen is like, when they almost explicitly, but not really, say that they are this one and the same.
Trace on is basically the final reveal I think you're supposed to get out of that.
And I do really like that at no time in Unlimited Blade Works do they ever explicitly say Archer this is who he is. They never actually, call him by name, which is nice. I like that. I like that it doesn't dumb it down like, oh, this is who it is. Just so you know.
I mean, Archer does eventually call himself the heroic spirit Emiya.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't be like, oh my god, Archer is Shiro.
Yeah. Which I appreciate them treating the viewers with respect and like, oh well, you're not dumb, you can put it together.
Yeah.
I like that.
Part of what's cool about the Fate series is that they learn, oh, Berserker is actually Heracles, but then they still call him Berserker. Yeah. Like, I kind of like that they always refer to them as their class name, even when it's revealed who their actual, like, they always call Saber, and they never call her Altria or Alteria, whatever her.
I think that's a practical thing too. It's easier to keep track because we were introduced to these people as these names, and it's just simpler that way. Yeah. And I guess practically speaking, like, you don't want to say someone's name when someone might be spying on you, I think is also it too, because, keeping your servant's identity a secret is a big deal strategy-wise. Yeah, they really revealed Berserker in this one early. It's like episode 3 or 4. I feel like I was going to say the Berserker class gets revealed, but that's not true in Fate Zero. Yeah. What were your favorite performances? We haven't touched on the voice acting too much, and that's kind of our thing. Yeah. My original answer, if we had done this like 2 years ago, would have been Saber, Kari Walgren. Yeah. Which again, she puts on such a good performance as Saber in general, in hopefully now all 3. I'm sure she will be phenomenal in Fate. Yes. In Heaven's Feel. I'm very much looking forward to that because we're going to see a side of Saber that we have not seen. So I'm interested and excited to see what Kari will bring to that. And then for me, as I love Melanie, but Christina V's performance as Sakura is something that I am most anticipating. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. This one, I feel like she doesn't have a ton to do, so it's like, meh. But I know a lot's going to happen later, so I expect that one to end up on that list. I think, so for my short answer, I suppose, Melanie as Reen and Kyle McCarley as Shinji are my 2 favorites. Not saying that Shinji is a favorite character, I just think that he has... You've captured it. He captured the awfulness of Shinji so well that now whenever I hear him, I cringe, and I love that. That's such a good performance. How about you, Graham? It's hard because, like, honestly, all the main characters, I feel like, put on fantastic performances. I love David Vincent as Gilgamesh. Whenever he says Mongrel, I just smile. Because it's just so... I love the arrogance and the, like, I love everything about his performance. But honestly, I think Bryce does a fantastic job as Shiro. Again, I feel like I'm over here in Shiro's corner the whole time. Again, as much as I don't really like Shiro as a character a lot, I do think this is a really good role for Bryce. And I think he does the character well and definitely captures Shiro's qualities for better or for worse. But then again, I also have to give Kaji applause for Archer, because like again the scenes between Archer and Shiro, for whatever reason I just cling to those. So I mean, those 3 all I feel like gave phenomenal performances, and if I had to pick a favorite, oh god, it'd be too hard, but I'd probably choose David. Matt? I think David David and Mela, I think, are my top two, especially if I'm going to do a male and a female performance. Like, David just nails that every line, and obviously Mela's brilliant. I think, like, to her credit, she really does the German lines very well. They sound very natural. They don't sound awkward or forced, which I think is a bigger deal than some people might realize when you're speaking a different language, to make them not feel like weird. Like, I don't speak German, so I can't speak to the quote unquote authenticity of it, but it feels authentic. Yeah. And I think that's ultimately, unless you are a German speaker and get nitpicky, that is the more important thing. So yeah, those are definitely up there. Again, I kind of mentioned it, but I really liked Todd Haberkorn in his relatively small role, but still.
Yeah, small but effective.
And yeah, Kyle was really great. Kari, of course, is always on point, though. Yeah. She has a lot more to do in Zero. Yeah. And crossing my fingers that eventually Ufotable will adapt the original Fate arc someday.
That would be really great.
I feel like you've done 2 out of 3. You have to finish it. Come on.
Yeah, that would be really great.
So I'm also hoping they do a series instead of movies. I'm not super fan of these, like, 3 to 6 movie trends, but
especially with how long we have to wait in between.
Exactly. That's a discussion for another time.
Yeah. I know I keep bringing up Heaven's Feel, but I mean, that's just, it's so close to us. We have about 2 weeks left. Actually, this will a week and a half.
Yeah, this will be on Unlocked in about a week's ahead of time, and it'll be on everything else within only a few days ahead of time. So perfect timing.
I have a feeling that I'll enjoy Heaven's Feel more than I did UBW. I think because I liked Zero because of the darkness and the depth of it, and I think that's what also appeals to me about Heaven's Feel.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to have the depth, but it's definitely going to have the darkness, I think. So I'm looking more forward to Heaven's Feel, and I'm thinking I will probably like that one more. But who knows?
Christina's going to have a lot to work with.
I have been wrong before. Yay. Once.
We also get to see more of Ryder, aka Medusa.
That's
speaking of someone who had nothing to do. Yeah. Womp womp.
Sorry, we didn't even bring up Ryder because she has about 5-second screen time.
Yeah, she has more to do in the Fate route, and she has way more to do in Heaven's Feel. So I'm excited to actually see her do something.
It's another Greek mythology character that I love, and I can't wait to see more of.
There's so much Greek in this one.
I love it. No regrets.
And then I would say just overall a big props to Tony Oliver, who did a really good Lancer, as mentioned, but also like his direction in both of these, because he directed Fate Zero as well, is just great. And again, I know with Aniplex shows, he doesn't have like the be all end all say in casting, but like I have to assume that some of it, and yeah, the casting choices spot on with pretty much everybody. And like I often put these up, especially Zero, but this one too, as like one of the better examples of very, very well done English dubs around.
Just a really good
Bang
ensemble.
Zoom, y'all. They do good stuff.
A really good ensemble cast.
Yeah, exactly.
A good Wallach cast?
Ah.
Boy.
Ooh.
Don't you guys regret having me on the show?
I feel like we need like a corny sound effect for that one.
Oh boy. That'll be done in post.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, listeners. Future Matt here. I'd like to thank you all for listening to our episode on Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. I'd like to thank Graham for joining us today, and also, as always, the good people at Unlocked for sponsoring our show. If you'd like to share your thoughts on the show and what we discussed today, you can find us in the Anime Unlocked Facebook group. You can find us on our own website, wallacast.com, or on Twitter at The Walla Podcast, and even, again, on Facebook with our own page. Again, The Walla Podcast. We are very excited for our next episode on the much-talked-about Girls Love Anime from last season, Citrus. Why? Well, because we will be joined by Margaret McDonald, who voices Harumin, and Megan Shipman, who voices Yuzu. So please definitely check that one out. Alrighty, that's it for me, folks. Thanks again, and remember to be careful out there because, as we all know, people do indeed die when they are killed.